white community, they going all in on Charlie Kirk. They not holding nothing back. They letting it all go. They feeling how we feeling, y'all. So without further ado, I'm gonna let my Caucasian brothers and sisters explain and express how they feel about Charlie Kirk. Without further ado, let's go.
No, I do not value the life of someone who does not value the lives of other people simply because they're different. When the villain is defeated at the end of the movie, the audience claps for justice.
If that's what that does to a grown man's neck, then just imagine what it does to a child's body.
Maybe it's because I come from a place with consequences, but I ain't shocked by the Charlie Kirk shit at all. Where I'm from, right or wrong, if you do things that negatively impact other people's lives, there's a chance that could cost you your life. Like, say you put hands on your old lady. She goes back to her parents' house, beaten and bloody, and then her little brother sees it, decides he's had enough. He goes over to that house and he puts 3 in your chest. Ultimately, he's dead because the little brother decided to pull the trigger, but we're going to act like the hillbilly didn't have no part to play in that? Or maybe it's because I'm on the side that has historically had all of the consequences heaped upon them. Like, we're the ones who always get assassinated. Harry T. Moore, Medgar Evers, Huey Long, Harvey Milk, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Fred Hampton, the list goes on. None of them wanted to die. And to be sure, they died because someone came and pulled the trigger. They didn't make that decision. But we're going to act like that decision wasn't visited upon them because they decided to challenge the status quo, because they decided to negatively impact the ruling class. Now I've got a situation where I have an individual who has spent the last decade trying to strip the humanity away from everybody that he deemed lesser, out here impacting the lives of thousands, if not millions of people negatively. And I'm supposed to pretend like there are going to be no consequences. Again, whenever you do the type of things that impact, you don't know how you're impacting people's lives. You have no idea what your words or how they will affect somebody. We recognize this as leftists. I understand there's going to be people who don't like the shit that I have to say. It's cops right now who would love to put me in a bag. I get that. I go do it anyway because I believe that what I'm talking is worth dying for. I hope that Charlie Kirk feels the same, because whenever you get out here and you do the type of things that impact people negatively, you need to expect that those people you negatively impact are going to come visit consequences upon you. For right or wrong, it doesn't matter. In my world, that's the reality, and you should expect that it's going to come whether it does or not. I expect my retribution to come for the ruling class. Charlie Kirk is going to have to look out for it from every minority group that he's ever demonized. Moral of the story is, if you're going to be out here trying to impact people's lives negatively, you better believe in what the fuck it is you're fighting for.
Why doesn't everyone between 45 and 65 claim the $250,000 life insurance policy?
On a more serious note, the reason that the worst people you know are on Facebook right now freaking out about empathy and children, father, wife, family, all of that is not because they're not okay with political violence. It's because this is the first time that they have ever been confronted with the fact that the political violence that they advocate for can happen to them.
This is going to be more of a brutal take than the vast majority of people on this issue, where Charlie Kirk was today, and I don't care at all, and that includes the family he left behind. I have absolutely no sympathy or empathy at all. These are people that repeatedly have no problem demonizing and making life harder for those that didn't have parents to grow up with, and that includes myself, man. They absolutely despise people that are homeless, that even just fell on hard times and everything and lost everything. They absolutely hate them.
You know that feeling when your feed explodes with news so chaotic you have to blink twice just to make sure it's real? That is the mood right now as headlines scream, Charlie Kirk is dead. Timelines are on fire. Tributes on one side, memes on the other, conspiracy theories bubbling up, and receipts flying everywhere. White folks are digging up old clips, resurfacing his most controversial takes, and stamping them with one clear message: don't rewrite this man's history. And that tagline, "We don't care too," isn't just sass. It's the collective shrug of communities who live on the receiving end of Kirk's firebrand rhetoric.
Charlie Kirk created the culture that killed him. Charlie was a professional provocateur. He used inflammatory fallacies and thought-terminating cliches to embolden those who have always held power, straight, white, cisgendered men. He even convinced some marginalized people that they could gain power by aligning themselves with these systems. Patriarchy, white supremacy, Christian nationalism. He profited off of this rhetoric at the expense of others' humanity. Charlie Kirk created the culture that killed him. One where gun violence is so normalized that even children are seen as collateral damage. Did he see his own life as a fair trade? How about his wife's husband? How about the father of his children? But it's not just the policies that may have cost him his life. I'm not sure if Donald Trump would have been elected without Charlie Kirk and his influence on Gen Z men. Regardless, he was Trump's ally, a faithful servant to a regime that glorifies violence as something good men do. Fascism is here, in part because of Charlie Kirk. And fascism is violent. But America has always been violent. Saying there's no place for political violence in America is as hollow as giving a thought and a prayer between the shooting at UVU and the school shooting in Colorado. America was built on political violence and continues to enact political violence every day. It's easy to condemn political violence when there's a hand on a trigger. It's harder to condemn everything that put the gun there in the first place, or the tax dollars funding a genocide, or the policies that disappear people who don't look like Charlie. We dream of a world without violence, but we live in one that demands it. Fascism can't be voted out or petitioned away or debated into irrelevance. It must be confronted, and confrontation under fascism is never peaceful. Political violence has been a daily reality for Indigenous people, Black Americans, trans individuals, Palestinians.
Well, consequences have actions, doesn't it, my dude? I mean, the irony to be mid-debate saying BS talking points, excusing this behavior, and then it happened to you? Couldn't have gone out better myself, man. That is unbelievable. You know, actions have consequences. You guys think that rhetoric isn't something that matters. Well, apparently it does, right? But don't cry about it now, because you don't care about literally any other event that ever happens, because you would rather, just like as Charlie Kirk said, have a portion of Americans just be so you could have your little hobby. I think that's absolutely barbaric. So don't clutch your pearls and try and use them as a martyr now just because one of your feelings got hurt because somebody actually did something about it. I mean, these are the same people that will absolutely fund politicians and advocate for people that will cut mental health services. They will actively stand against the Medicare for all system or a universal healthcare system. They will do absolutely nothing. They will not do any mental health screenings, even though they'll talk about mental health. They will not make actual like universal background checks and stuff. They will not screen anybody for any reason whatsoever. So who cares, dude? Who cares?
So when the announcement of his death hit the feeds, it wasn't just a trending name. It was a culture war general falling in real time. The reactions were instant and raw. Conservative spaces flooded with tributes, branding him a warrior for freedom. Liberal circles already cracking open the vault. Receipts dropping everywhere. And marginalized groups, immigrants, LGBTQ folks, people of color, not even engaging. They're shrugging. We don't care too.
When it happens, know that I don't give a damn. I don't care that he was a father. I don't care that he was a person. I don't care that you can argue that someone in history was worse than him. I don't give a damn. Caring about that is above my pay grade and below my sense of wonder. So know now, if you try to hit me with DMs or comments, respect the dead, have some decorum, I will be going to that fly high date in your bio and making fun of your dead granddaddy for filling a gene pool so shallow and stupid to have produced a person who would willingly defend a racist, bigot, convicted felony harasser, and pedophile, completely separate and apart, online for free when they're already gone. I will be laughing at every single joke made online, no matter how insane. I hope there's fireworks. I hope there's an event. I just want you to respect the dead. And people in hell want ice water. Ask your buddy. He's gonna find out soon enough. God willing, whichever God you choose. That happening won't fix everything he passed or put in motion or ruined or broke or nominated to the Supreme Court for a life term or set us back 50 years about. No, it won't, but wow, will it feel good.
Hello. Awful. But there is awful, and then there's insufferable. Okay, look, I have literally never had a demon vanquish themselves until you people started showing. Please, I was made for this place, bro. Look, I hate Gustin. I was a fake Catholic, right? I never believed in God. I just used that as a way to put down people who look different than me. I hated on gay people so much, even though secretly I wish I could have, shocking, once to try it, maybe twice. Gorgam. Well, hey there, Patriot. Huh? Gorgamesh. Gorgamesh. Gorgamesh, no, he's not staying. Oh, let me guess, snowflake liberal. Do you see what I'm saying? Dude, I didn't even know that they could do that until about 10 years ago. You won't believe who's a woke ass pussy, the devil. Okay.
Conservative podcaster yelling into a mic. He was the architect behind Turning Point USA, a youth-driven conservative machine designed to rebrand right-wing politics for Gen Z. His style was simple: package culture wars into memeable sound bites. Immigration, he framed it as an invasion. Diversity programs, reverse racism, gun rights, sacred, climate change, just hysteria from the left. Kirk thrived not by solving problems, but by turning them into talking points. He was the conservative influencer who could go viral with a sentence, rile up campuses, and flood social media with an us versus them mentality.
The difference now is that the people who thought they were safe, who thought violence was only something that happened to other people, are feeling it too. This is the cost of the culture that Charlie Kirk built. This is what happens when a nation worships guns and is taught to fear each other more than they fear power. Political violence has always been here. It's just now everybody is going to feel it.
Christians are calling Charlie Kirk a modern-day Martin Luther King Jr., and I just want to remind everybody that Charlie Kirk called Martin Luther King Jr. an awful person who destroyed and ruined this country by championing the Civil Rights Act. Martin Luther King Jr. was a committed socialist. Charlie Kirk was an adamant capitalist. Martin Luther King Jr. was committed to abolishing prisons. Charlie Kirk wanted to build more prisons. Martin Luther King Jr. was a nonviolent direct action activist. Charlie Kirk advocated for gun ownership for all. To compare Martin Luther King Jr. to Charlie Kirk is to ignore every single. They both said, Charlie Kirk himself said that Martin Luther King Jr. was an awful person who destroyed this country, and that he stood for everything against Martin Luther King Jr. Charlie Kirk was an Islamophobic person who thought that black people don't even have the capacity to think for themselves. To compare Charlie Kirk to Martin Luther King Jr. is to ignore what both of those men stood for. So do not tarnish either of their memories, and remember the things that they actually stood for. Martin Luther King Jr. wanted to completely allow everybody to have the life that they deserved to live, where they were happy. Charlie Kirk only wanted white men to be happy. He was very clear about that, and that women and everyone should submit to them. That Martin Luther King Jr. was an awful person because he didn't submit to white people. That is what Charlie Kirk believed. So do not call him a modern-day Martin Luther King Jr.
This isn't a moment of unity. It's a digital earthquake splitting communities right down the timeline, and the receipts, they are brutal. On gun violence, people are replaying clips of Kirk downplaying America's gun crisis, mocking calls for reform, and insisting that mass shootings are just the price of freedom. The irony isn't lost. Parents, kids, communities living in fear are watching his words trend again as proof of how dismissive he is. On empathy, clips show him sneering at the very idea of compassion. Migrants at the border? He tells them to toughen up. Students begging for safer schools? He laughs at their protests. Victims of systemic racism? He waves them away as professional victims. And on Israeli actions comes back to haunt him. While global screens are filled with images of dead children and displaced families, Kirk doubles down, framing any criticism as anti-Semitism. The hypocrisy stings. How does a man who claims to be pro-life excuse the deaths of Palestinian kids? Those clips are the loudest receipts splintering in real time.
I'm asked many times, Trump has had an Oval Office evening press conference about a school. Never. And tonight, all he did was talk about Charlie Kirk, and all he did was talk about political violence. He will stand up against political violence, but he didn't even acknowledge Evergreen. He didn't even acknowledge and offer any thoughts and prayers or condolences to these parents who are sitting on the bedside of their child who has been shot at school. This is it. This is the freaking tipping point, because I, like a lot of Americans, are pissed the hell off. I am done with us just saying that kids can die, but 31-year-old political influencers, he doesn't even hold a seat. He gets taken out, and we have an Oval Office press conference. It is absolutely disgusting. It is absolutely disgusting. And this is it. This is a tipping point. It is time. It is time to do something. Call to action.
Conservative whites are posting Bible verses, calling him a hero, even spinning conspiracy theories about his passing. Liberal whites are hammering Twitter with never forget threads and meme reels. Centrist whites are hedging with half-sincere posts like, agree or disagree, he made an impact, which basically reads like yearbook filler. And floating above it all are the memes. Kirk debating angels at heaven's gates, parody obituaries, TikToks with captions like thoughts and prayers. It's gallows humor and cultural therapy rolled into one.
A lot of people are just now coming to terms with the fact that when the Constitution says all men were created equal, that means that all men are equally susceptible to the violence they incite. There's an entire subset of people in this country who have built their entire assumption, the erroneous certainty that the violence that they advocate for, not only advocate for, but that they need in order to maintain their position in the pecking order would only ever serve to maintain that position in the pecking order. They had never considered that it could happen to them. Millions of people right now are feeling for the very first time ever the fear that they have been inflicting on the rest of us for years or decades or our entire life. Or many seeing themselves represented as victims of violence, whereas the rest of us have been seeing ourselves represented in this our entire lives. And the children who were down in school and the Pulse victims, that was it for me. That was my big that is me moment. That one bullet popped their bubble of I can do whatever I want to other people and it will never come back to bite me in a massive way. And they're freaking out right now because they have not had years to contend with that fact. They have been able to maintain the compartmentalization, the cognitive dissonance is out of the box now. Okay. And they're floundering because they have never had to deal with these uncomfortable feelings before. If you don't like the thoughts, the feelings that come with the knowledge that you live in a world, in a country where you could be at any time, maybe you should do something about it.
But the loudest response is indifference. Marginalized communities aren't celebrating. They're not mourning. They're just unmoved. We don't care too. And that indifference is a statement all its own. For people who spent years on the receiving end of his dismissive rhetoric, silence is the sharpest reaction possible. What's happening right now shows us something bigger. We live in the age of receipts. Screenshots don't vanish. Video clips never disappear. Legacies are no longer shaped by carefully written obituaries. They're defined by the archives the internet refuses to bury. For Charlie Kirk, that means there is no peaceful afterlife online. His story is receipts stacked on receipts, critics refusing to let his record be rewritten. The new rule is simple. Don't lie about the dead. If someone used their platform to dismiss pain, mock empathy, or excuse violence, the receipts will speak louder than eulogies. So, what's his legacy? It depends who you ask. Supporters are already memorializing him as a fighter who mobilized youth conservatives. Critics are pointing to the wreckage his rhetoric left behind. And the internet? The internet is ensuring that the receipts remain one click away. Legacy in 2025 isn't about what your supporters say, it's about what the receipts confirm.
What?
What do you think about Trump declaring Charlie Kirk a martyr?
He's a martyr for truth and freedom.
This guy.
Charlie, I live like a capitalist every single day, Shank. I live as a capitalist. Come on, Shank, let's go.
In case you missed it, yesterday in Utah, right-wing political influencer and podcaster Charlie Kirk was shot and murdered. Later in the day, the White House posted a 4-minute homage to all of their social media pages, which is totally AI.
Charlie was a patriot who devoted his life to the cause of open debate.
But Trump did solve the murder.
Radical left political violence has hurt too many innocent people.
He thinks the lefty took that shot. No, kind of suspicious, no? But I agree, let's make him a martyr. Let's do it, because there is one thing that Charlie and all of us agreed upon.
We as the American people deserve to have every Epstein file released with no redactions whatsoever. Period.
Charlie Kirk built an entire brand around mocking empathy. To him, compassion was weakness. If you cried at injustice, you were a snowflake. If you demanded fairness, you were part of the woke mob. He prided himself on being the guy who didn't care about your feelings. And yet, right now, his death is generating one of the most emotional online brawls we've seen in recent memory. Scroll for 30 seconds and you see it all. Conservatives posting through tears, writing long Facebook tributes about how Kirk inspired them to never back down. Liberals unloading years of pent-up frustration with thread after thread of receipts, dissecting every contradiction in his legacy. Centrist commentators jumping in with that classic hedging, agree or disagree, you can't deny his impact, which, let's be honest, is the political version of signing someone's yearbook with HAGS. Have a great summer. And hovering over it all, memes multiplying faster than you can hit refresh. Kirk at Heaven's Gate, Kirk debating angels, Kirk photoshopped into a Marvel poster titled Captain Hypocrisy. The man who insisted feelings don't matter has, ironically, become a lightning rod for every possible feeling. And here's the kicker. This isn't just about Charlie Kirk. It's obsessed death, grief, but 2025 doesn't play by those rules. In the internet age, the obituary isn't written by a newspaper editor. It's written by the receipts, screenshots, old tweets, video clips. The archives don't vanish, and the public doesn't hold back. So the irony lands twice as hard. Charlie Kirk spent his career weaponizing the internet, using clips and sound bites to wage cultural battles. And now, the same internet he mastered is rewriting his legacy in real time. Fueled not by loyalty, but by receipts. It's almost poetic if your definition of poetry includes flame wars and viral memes. But here's where it gets even deeper. This moment reveals something about whiteness and community fractures. When a white conservative figure can rule is close ranks, mourn together, defend the legacy. But right now, you're watching the white community split right down the middle. Conservatives are clutching pearls, liberals are clutching receipts, and centrists are clutching their thesaurus trying to find the safest platitude possible. Whiteness, accountability is becoming unavoidable. The internet is too loud, the archives too permanent, the hypocrisy too groups. Immigrants, queer folks, black activists. The biggest flex isn't dragging Kirk with memes or debating his defenders. The biggest flex is indifference. We don't care too. That phrase is more powerful than any clapback because it flips the script. Kirk thrived on outrage. He fed off of angry reactions. He wanted the spectacle of conflict, but death has stripped him of that power. And the refusal to react, the shrug, the silence, robs him of the very fuel that kept his brand alive. In a way, indifference is the ultimate receipt. That's why the reactions are fascinating. On one side, you have conservative grief. On the other side, liberal receipts. And in the middle, marginalized indifference. Three different strategies for handling the same death, all colliding in real time on the same feeds. And none of them can silence the others